There is something quietly happening inside your body right now. Something most people never notice until the damage has already settled in. You started taking magnesium glycinate because you heard it was gentle, safe, even healing. And maybe it helped at first. Maybe your sleep softened a little. Maybe the tension in your shoulders eased. Maybe you felt just slightly more like yourself. But then something shifted. The fatigue came back. Heavier this time. The sleep still restless. The legs still aching at night. The mind still foggy in the mornings. And you wondered, am I doing something wrong? Is it the magnesium? Is it me? Is this just what aging feels like? You are not imagining it. And you are not alone. Millions of people over 50 are taking magnesium glycinate every single day and quietly making one or two small mistakes that are canceling out nearly every benefit. Not because they are careless, but because no one ever told them. Today that changes, because what I'm about to share with you is not a warning to scare you. It is an invitation, a gentle redirection toward something that actually works, toward healing that is real, lasting, and already written inside your body's own language. Your body still remembers how to heal. It has not forgotten. It has simply been waiting for the right conditions. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we are going to walk through exactly what is happening inside your cells, your nerves, your blood, and why making one small correction could change the way you sleep, the way you feel, and the way you move through every single day. Let us begin. Magnesium is not a trend. It is not a wellness buzzword invented last year. It is one of the oldest, most essential minerals the human body has ever depended on. Every single cell in your body, every heartbeat, every breath, every quiet moment of repair that happens while you sleep requires magnesium to function. Think of your body like a vast ancient garden. Magnesium is the deep water that runs beneath the roots. You cannot always see it. You cannot always feel it working. But without it, the flowers wilt, the leaves yellow, the soil hardens, and no matter how much sunlight falls on the surface, nothing truly grows. And here is the quiet tragedy. Studies suggest that nearly 70 to 80% of adults over the age of 50 are deficient in magnesium. Not severely, not dramatically, just quietly, slowly, gradually running low, just the way a river runs shallow in a long drought. You do not notice until the riverbed begins to crack. That slow, silent depletion shows up as nights where you lie awake even when your body aches with tiredness. Mornings where lifting yourself from bed feels like moving through water. Muscles that cramp for no reason. A heart that races sometimes, faintly, nervously, when there is nothing to be afraid of. A mind that reaches for a word and finds empty space. Nerves in the feet that buzz or go numb. Eyes that blur earlier in the evening. A heaviness that you cannot name but carry everywhere. Sound familiar? That is not weakness. That is not just aging. That is a body quietly asking for something it needs. And magnesium glycinate, when taken correctly, is one of the most powerful answers available. The word glycinate simply means that the magnesium is bound to glycine, a calming amino acid. This makes it far gentler on the stomach than older forms of magnesium. It absorbs more completely. It reaches the nervous system with greater ease. It crosses into the brain more efficiently, calming the electrical storms that make sleep shallow and anxiety persistent. It is in many ways one of the most beautiful forms of supplementation modern science has given older adults. But here is where the story gets complicated, because taking the right supplement the wrong way is like planting seeds in concrete. The intention is perfect. The outcome is not. Let us talk about the mistakes. Not to shame anyone, never that, but because you deserve to know, because your healing depends on it. The first and most common mistake is timing. Most people take magnesium glycinate in the morning, often alongside their other vitamins and supplements, as part of a routine that feels responsible and organized. And this makes complete sense. Morning routines are powerful. They signal the body that you are taking care of yourself. But magnesium glycinate is not a morning mineral. Remember, it is bound to glycine, an amino acid that the nervous system uses as a calming signal. When you take it in the morning, you are essentially sending your nervous system a quiet message to slow down, to soften, to prepare for rest, at the very moment your body needs to wake up, focus, circulate, and engage with the day. Some people notice this as subtle fatigue around mid-morning, a cloudiness, a heaviness that they blame on bad sleep or age or the weather. But it is often the glycine gently pulling the nervous system toward calm at the wrong hour. Magnesium glycinate belongs in the evening. Ideally taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed, it works in harmony with your body's natural wind-down signals. Cortisol, your stress hormone, begins to fall in the evening. Melatonin begins to rise. The nervous system is already preparing for repair, and when magnesium glycinate arrives at this moment, it does not fight the body. It flows with it. Like rain arriving exactly when the dry soil has cracked open and tilted itself toward the sky. The roots drink deeply, and healing begins in the night quietly while you are not watching. Type evening in the comments if you're going to make this simple change tonight. It costs nothing, and it may be the shift your sleep has been waiting for. The second mistake is what you take it with, or more precisely, what you take it alongside. Here is something that is almost never mentioned in wellness videos, in magazine articles, in the well-meaning advice passed between friends. Calcium and magnesium compete. They use the same cellular doorways to enter your bloodstream, the same transport proteins, the same absorption channels in your gut. When you take calcium and magnesium at the same time, which millions of older adults do because many supplements combine them, they wrestle for space, and often calcium wins. Not because calcium is bad. Calcium is essential. But when taken together in high doses, calcium can crowd out magnesium entirely, leaving your cells still depleted despite your daily supplement ritual. This is why so many people faithfully take magnesium every day and still feel the symptoms of deficiency. Still wake at 3 in the morning. Still feel the leg cramps. Still carry the low hum of anxiety in the chest. The solution is simple. Beautiful in its simplicity, actually. Separate them by at least 2 hours. Take calcium in the morning or afternoon. Take magnesium glycinate in the evening. Give each mineral its own window, its own space, its own moment of undivided absorption. Your body is not broken. It was simply crowded. There is a woman I want to tell you about. Her name is Eleanor, 71 years old. A retired school teacher from a small town near the coast, where the evenings smell like salt and old wood, and the ocean moves slowly past the harbor windows. Eleanor had been taking magnesium glycinate for nearly a year. She had heard about it from her daughter, who had read about it online. She took it faithfully every morning with her calcium supplement and her cup of tea. And she waited. The sleep never improved. The nighttime restlessness continued. The aching in her calves remained. She began to wonder if she was simply too old for healing. If this was just the shape of her life now, tired, aching, waiting for morning. Her daughter convinced her to watch a video about magnesium timing. Eleanor made 2 changes. She moved her magnesium glycinate to the evening. She separated it from her calcium by 3 hours. Within 2 weeks, she slept through the night for the first time in 4 years. She called her daughter on a Tuesday morning, her voice filled with something she could not quite name, not quite happiness, not quite surprise, something quieter and deeper than either. Something that felt like being given back a piece of herself she had quietly grieved. I forgot what it felt like, she said, to wake up and feel rested. Your body still knows how to rest. It has not forgotten. It has simply been missing something. The third mistake is dose. More is not always more. In fact, with magnesium glycinate, with many things that are truly good, more can quickly become less. The body has a threshold for magnesium absorption. Think of it as a gate that only opens so wide. When you flood that gate with a very high dose all at once, the body absorbs what it can and begins to flush the rest. In some people, this causes loose stools, nausea, or an uncomfortable feeling of heaviness in the gut. But there is a subtler problem. When the body is overwhelmed by too much magnesium at once, it can actually begin to downregulate its own magnesium retention systems, the biological processes that help your kidneys conserve magnesium rather than excrete it. Over time, flooding the system can paradoxically lead to lower magnesium levels in the cells where it matters most, in the heart muscle, the brain, the nerves of the feet and hands. The wise approach, the approach that mirrors nature, is smaller doses taken consistently. 200 milligrams in the evening, taken every single night, will deliver far more true cellular benefit than 400 milligrams taken sporadically or all at once. Healing is not dramatic. It is not a flood. It is a slow, steady rain falling on patient soil. Consistency is the healer. Gentleness is the method. Comment steady below if this resonates with you. Because this is true for so much more than magnesium. This is true for most things worth doing. Now let us talk about something that most people never consider when they begin a magnesium supplement. The fourth mistake is ignoring the cofactors. Magnesium does not work alone. No nutrient truly does. The body is not a collection of isolated chemical reactions. It is a conversation, an intricate, ancient, beautifully coordinated conversation between hundreds of molecules, all listening to each other, all dependent on each other. Magnesium needs vitamin D to be properly absorbed and utilized at the cellular level. And here is the quiet paradox. Vitamin D also requires magnesium to be converted from its storage form into its active form. They need each other. They are partners. When your vitamin D is low, which in adults over 50 is extraordinarily common, your magnesium supplementation becomes far less effective. The mineral arrives, but the body cannot fully use it. It circles the system without finding its purpose. Vitamin B6 is another quiet partner. It helps magnesium enter the cells, not just the bloodstream, but the actual interior of the cells where the real healing happens. Without adequate B6, magnesium can appear in blood tests as sufficient, while remaining critically low inside the cells themselves. And then there is zinc, a mineral that works alongside magnesium in the regulation of sleep hormones, in the quiet support of the immune system, in the delicate dance of blood sugar management that becomes so important after the age of 50. The lesson here is gentle but powerful. If you are taking magnesium glycinate in isolation, without also tending to your vitamin D levels, your B vitamins, your zinc, you are planting in soil that is still missing something. The seed is good, but the ground is not ready. A simple multivitamin taken in the morning, combined with 15 to 20 minutes of gentle sunlight on the arms and face each day, can shift the entire ecosystem. Can turn dry soil into something that holds water, that welcomes roots, that allows healing to settle in and stay. Let me introduce you to a man named George, 74 years old, retired engineer. Spent 40 years solving problems with precision and logic. When his doctor mentioned that his blood sugar was creeping upward, not quite diabetic, but moving in a troubling direction, George approached it the way he approached every problem, methodically, carefully, without panic. He began taking magnesium glycinate after reading about its role in insulin sensitivity, the way magnesium helps the cells respond to insulin's signal, the way it smooths the conversation between the pancreas and the muscles and the liver. He also began spending 20 minutes each morning sitting in his garden, face turned gently toward the rising sun. Not for any dramatic spiritual reason, simply because his joints moved better in the warmth. And the light he noticed made him feel more alive. He separated his calcium from his magnesium. He added a vitamin D supplement after his doctor confirmed he was deficient. He took his magnesium faithfully each evening. 6 months later, his fasting blood sugar had dropped by nearly 20 points. His doctor called it remarkable. George called it logical. But something else happened, something George had not expected, something that logic alone could not explain. He began sleeping deeply. Dreaming again the way he had as a younger man. His wife noticed that the lines in his face seemed softer. His grandchildren noticed that he laughed more easily, that he seemed lighter somehow. Healing is rarely just physical. When the body repairs, something in the spirit lifts too, as if the two were never truly separate. The fifth mistake, and perhaps the most overlooked, is expecting magnesium to work in a depleted, inflamed body without addressing the inflammation itself. Inflammation is the hidden tide. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to water a garden while a fire is burning underneath the soil. The water evaporates before it reaches the roots. The nutrients you add to the ground are consumed by the heat before the plants can drink them. Chronic low-grade inflammation, which is present in the majority of adults over 50, often without a single obvious symptom, does exactly this. It consumes magnesium at an accelerated rate. It creates a cellular environment where magnesium is burned through faster than it can be replenished, where healing is constantly interrupted. This is why people with chronic pain, chronic fatigue, autoimmune conditions, or blood sugar problems often need more magnesium than the standard recommendation, and why even a good supplement taken correctly may feel insufficient until the inflammation begins to calm. What calms inflammation gently, naturally, without harsh interventions? Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, and in walnuts and flax seeds. These are not supplements that mask symptoms. They are nutrients that communicate directly with the inflammatory pathways, gently turning down the heat. Turmeric paired with a small amount of black pepper, which dramatically increases the absorption of its active compound curcumin. A warm cup of golden milk in the evening, turmeric, black pepper, a little honey, warm oat milk is one of the most quietly powerful anti-inflammatory rituals you can offer your body. It takes 4 minutes to make. It asks nothing difficult of you. And rest, real rest, the kind that happens not just at night, but throughout the day. Small pauses, quiet moments, the simple act of sitting without a screen for 10 minutes and allowing the nervous system to exhale. Your nervous system is the gatekeeper of healing. When it feels safe, truly safe, it allows the body to shift from protection mode into repair mode. Magnesium glycinate supports this shift, but so does silence. So does warmth. So does the sound of water or bird song or simply a room that is not demanding anything of you. Healing begins when the body feels safe. There is a woman named Margaret, 68 years old, a widow. She had raised 3 children, buried a husband, cared for her mother through a long illness. She carried all of it with grace. She had always been the strong one, the one who never asked for help. After her mother passed, Margaret began waking at 2 and 3 in the morning, heart pounding, mind spinning, a heaviness in her chest that she could not name. Her doctor prescribed a sleep aid. It worked, but left her groggy and absent in the mornings, as if she were watching her own life through frosted glass. A friend told her about magnesium glycinate. She was skeptical, but she was also exhausted. She began taking it correctly. In the evening, separated from her calcium at a moderate dose. She added turmeric tea each night. She began a small ritual of sitting near her window for 10 minutes before bed, watching the dark garden, listening to the quiet. The first week, nothing changed dramatically. The second week, she noticed the 2 a.m. Waking happened only twice instead of every night. The third week, she slept until 5, then until 6. Then, one soft morning in November, she woke at 7 to pale winter light on the wall and lay there for a long moment, aware of something she had forgotten the feeling of. Peace. Not happiness exactly. Not the loud, bright happiness of easier years. Something quieter. Something that asked less of her and gave more. Something that felt like being held by the ordinary world, by light, by warmth, by the simple, astonishing fact of another morning. She still wakes early sometimes. But now it does not frighten her. She makes tea. She sits by the window. She watches the garden wake up. The roots were not dead. They were sleeping. Let us talk about one more thing. One final piece that completes this picture. The way you think about your body matters. This may sound like philosophy rather than medicine, but the science supports it more deeply than most people know. The nervous system responds to belief, to expectation, to the quiet stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what is possible. When you approach your body with frustration, with the belief that it has failed you, that it is declining, that healing is something that happens to other people, the stress hormones rise. Cortisol floods the system, and cortisol in excess depletes magnesium directly, measurably. The more chronically stressed the body is, the faster magnesium is consumed. But when you approach your body with something closer to compassion, with the understanding that it has carried you through every difficult year, that it is not your enemy, but your oldest companion, the nervous system softens, cortisol settles, and the conditions for healing become possible. This is not magical thinking. This is biology. The body heals most effectively when the mind is gentle toward it. So tonight, not as a grand gesture, but as a quiet beginning, speak kindly to yourself. Notice something your body did well today. That it breathed, that it carried you, that it is still trying, still reaching, still responding to care. Because it is. Aging is not the end of renewal. It is a different season of it. Slower, yes. Quieter, perhaps, but no less real, no less possible, no less worthy of your tenderness. Let me leave you with this. There is a moment, and many of you who are watching this may have felt it, when you stop expecting your body to feel the way it did at 30 or 40, and you begin gently to ask something different, not for perfection, not for the energy of youth, but for ease, for comfort, for a body that feels like a home rather than a burden. That moment is not giving up. That moment is the beginning of real healing, because you stop fighting your body and start working with it. Start listening to it. Start giving it what it actually needs. Gently, consistently, with the patience of a gardener who trusts the process even when the soil is dry. Magnesium glycinate taken correctly in the evening away from calcium at a gentle and consistent dose, supported by vitamin D and the quiet cofactors it needs, in a body tended with warmth and care and some reduction of the invisible fire of inflammation, is one of the most powerful tools available to you. Not because it is magic, but because it meets your body where it actually is. It speaks the body's language, and when the body is spoken to in its own language, when it receives what it has been quietly asking for, it does what it was always designed to do. It heals. Slowly, quietly, patiently, the way all real things grow. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you are beginning tonight. If you are choosing to tend to yourself, gently, consistently, with hope instead of frustration. I want to hear from you. I want to know where you are watching from, what your days feel like, what you are hoping for. Because this channel is not just information. It is a community of people who believe, who have decided to believe, that healing is still possible, that the body is still listening, that it is never too late to give yourself the care you deserve. If this video helped you, if even one moment felt like something you needed to hear, please share it with someone who is struggling, with a friend who has not slept well in months, with a parent who has stopped believing their body can change, with anyone who needs to hear that their body has not given up on them. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do. We are here every week with gentle, careful, science-supported guidance, not to alarm you, but to walk alongside you, to remind you that the path toward feeling better is quieter and closer than it seems. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking care of yourself. The garden is not finished. The light is still coming. And somewhere, deep beneath the soil, the roots are waking up.